All right, everybody. So today I'm going to go over patterns. All right, now key patterns that work. Right, and I'm not talking about technical analysis patterns. That's not what I'm talking about. Specifically, when buying, pullbacks and all of that. So the first thing you need to know is, whichever tool you're using, whether you're using profile, whether you're using wave volume, whatever it is that you're using. So wave volume patterns. All right. So first we'll go over weakness. Because what happens is weakness actually leads to a reversal. So that's why it's so important. You see it all the time, all the time. I can show you chart after chart where I'll give you just an example on the I'll show you on the daily. See if you can see this, right? This is the low. As it goes and drives another low, it's less volume. As it goes and tries to drive another low, it's less volume and below average. And what does this lead to? A reversal. So this is on a daily chart. It works on a daily chart, it works on other charts. It just, and you see this over and over again. You have less volume, what happens? Rally happens. So you just have to look. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to point out, but I'll show you on intraday chart as well. This was the E-mini reversal. If you can see, with a very easy way to do this is just from rally to rally to rally, just draw your trend. You see how the down volume is lessening? See how it's lessening? What happens? Bang! The reversal happens because pressure is lessening, and this is a key reversal pattern. So how do I go back to my brush? So so weakness leads to reversals. So let's say weakness. All right. So weakness leads to reversals or change of behavior, and let's draw it out. So from in the downtrend, if you see this pattern of selling, it's basically decreasing. Selling is decreasing. And this will be, a trend. So it'll be like, down, 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 down. As it's making a low, as it's making a low to low to low to low, the volume is decreasing. So in a downtrend, looks like that. And in an uptrend, it looks like that. This is also decreasing, and it's actually more obvious than that. And this is basically, I mean, this is just common sense. This is normal market behavior. Why? The higher the price, the less I want to buy. The less people want to buy. The less, the less smart money wants to buy at high prices. Because, I mean, it's just common sense to say that if something is $5, I don't want to pay 10 for it. If something is $100, I don't want to pay $300. So less and less people and systems and all of that will buy high. All right, at least that's the common sense, right? So you see that the volume decreases at higher and higher and higher and higher prices. Volume decreases. Same thing as selling. The higher the price is, the more I want to sell because I get a high price to sell for. I'd rather sell for $100 than to sell for $20 because my profit margin is higher at 100 than it is at 20. So as price goes lower, 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 I don't want to sell as much. I want to sell at the best prices, and those are the highest prices. And the best prices here for longs are the lowest prices. So this is just common sense, right? So the point here is this decreasing volume pattern, right? That's the first thing, decreasing all right, now there's another pattern when it comes to wave volume that you should know, and that is let's explain it. So say you have a downtrend like this, and here you have a lot of volume, and here you have a lot of volume, but then it just becomes like this. It's just it's not decreasing, but if I was to take an average line of volume, this is below average. So this is just lack of selling pressure. This is, you could say it's, lack of demand or lack of supply, LOS, that's fine as well. It's not a lot of interest. At these lower prices, the volume decreases significantly below an average amount. And you'll see this if you have a line of averages, that this volume is less, this is small, this is small, this is small. So these are two patterns that you should know. The typical thing that you're taught is the climax pattern. Right? That's like the typical thing that you're taught, that as the trend goes down, 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 the volumes should, over here, should be like that. That this is your climax. That's your climax exhaustion. Big red climax. But that's not the only pattern. And in fact, many times these two will be there, and they will cause the reversal. The climactic pattern, it's there, but you know, there's it may just continue. There's no evidence that the supply has dried up. There's no evidence, and you have to wait for a secondary test after a climax to prove that it's dried up and all of that. But these two already prove that supply is drying up. Whereas after the climax, you have to wait for testing. But these, as they're in motion, as they're moving, they are showing you that the supply is dried up. It's decreasing volume and below average. So below. You can use other thresholds, but this is like the obvious that everybody understands, right? That this is significantly below average, below average, below average. And I'll show you examples of this all over the place. So this was the one I was talking about. It goes, you know, rally down, rally down, rally down. Volume is decreasing, right? Even internal waves, when they go down and then retest, as this made a lower low, volume is decreasing and significantly below average. And that's it. Supply dried up. Springboard. And then we start watching, and we start noticing that, you know, the volume here is starting to decrease, and the downside volume is starting to increase right here. Okay, so after that, there's one more spike. This is the climax, by the way, that happened to wrap this up, because this uptrend is weakening, and this is telling you that it's the final, it's like the exhaustion after the indication of weakness, you know, climax and finish it. So this indication here to here to here was indicating that they were weakening. So after that, this exhaustion happened, this climax, and again the same pattern of that volume to less volume to less volume to the selling. See, this is actually a better example and clearer example, because it's very dramatic. You can see the, you know, this one not that much, it's not as steep, but this one's pretty steep, and this was the climactic move. And after that, this helps confirm that the buyers are exhausted. All right, eventually it breaks. Here is an example of the second case that I mentioned, where it goes low volume, low volume, low volume, low volume, which is below average, below average, below average. It's a big problem. If you're bullish, you have to ask yourself, what the hell is going on? You know, so no pressure, no pressure, no pressure, no buying activity, no buying activity, no buying activity. Sellers come in. Here's another example of right, and then the increase in selling, because demand is weak. Demand is weakening. It's declining. It's decreasing demand. Now, typically, one of two things will happen. You might have a change of behavior after this, or you might have a climactic move to terminate the trend. So those two are very, very common. Very common. So you see the weakening, the lessening of buying, and then the supply, or it'll just be less than average, and then it'll break. Yeah. So after this, you want to be ready to see the selling pressure increase or a climactic move. And then after that, you're still looking for a turn. Let's give another example. You see them over and over again. See right here? This low to low to this, the supply is decreasing. And what happens? Big blue. Big blue right here. Bang. This supply is decreasing, and big blue comes in and changes trend. This is a little difficult to see, but it's there. 1, 2, 3 waves. So we're looking for a trend. Oh, look at this. See that? This is the second case where it's all below average. So this is a problem. 1, 2. If it was moving up, you know, this all of them. I mean, basically, it's a lack of demand. There's no interest, so it's going to cause a reversal. Similar. This is also similar when you have they're all low volume, and then you're going to get a reversal. After that, I explained a separate video about the shakeout and all of that, how that happens. But this is the idea. As it's moving down, sometimes you have declining volume. Otherwise, you just have flat, below average volume, and then the reversal occurs and it goes up. All right, so these are the two patterns that you should know. Now let's cover something else. So I've covered the decreasing volume pattern and the lack of supply or demand, where the volume, a series of volume waves are below average. Now let's cover, all right, what happens. So after that, you might get a change of behavior or buying activity. So you get that buying activity, then what happens is something like this. All right. So we see decreased selling activity, and then on the upside we have this strong buying wave, and it's making highs. And then after that, you have a strong red. Let me just paint it red. These are all selling waves, selling wave, selling wave, selling a wave. So it's a buying wave. All right. So this right here, what happens is, for some reason, this is a very common pattern in that you're going to see a deep move down to test support. This is going to scare a lot of people out, or it's going to bring in shorts. But what you want to do is you want to see the wave before it, which is this. If this is low, If this first pullback has low volume, then I consider this pullback after it with high volume to be some type of effort or climax or shakeout or whatever. Yeah, so the point is that that it's the first pullback that needs to be taken into consideration, not just the heavy volume wave after. So I don't really know what to call this pattern, but it's the high volume after COB. And I'm talking about this, not the low volume. Right? You have the change of behavior, and then you have a low volume pullback. But then after that, you have a high volume pullback. So I'm talking about the high volume pullback after the change of behavior. Right? So this thing, this is a pattern. And this typically goes to test support or resistance. It goes to support resistance. It tests it. This is what happens. All right, I'm done. Have a good weekend. Thank you.